Hey everyone, how you doing today? Thought I would show you a couple projects I've been working on and basically a general update. The first one here is this transport CV for the Imperial faction. It did get all textured up now. I did do a modification to the rear thrusters again where I basically repositioned them a couple blocks forward from where they were. I just felt it looked a little bit better aesthetically versus the previous position they were in. And yeah, I got the whole bottom side done up too. It's got a lot of breakups and things going on the bottom, but it's kind of in an organized fashion. So I think it is working out pretty good there. And the lighting here sucks too. I'll next time I show this, I'll show it on a planet side too, so you can get an idea what that'll look like. But basically, what I got left to do on here is the entire insides of it. And I'll probably start working on that maybe even later today. First goal would be to get the storage in here, and I'm debating whether I should have 6 or 8 320K storage bays. And I'll have to pick. And now it's got 8 large lift thrusters. It only has 4 forward thrusters, and it is a hardened steel creation. How much storage should it have is a good question. I don't exactly know. I want to make sure that it works good with the storage it can handle. So I might have to do a little bit of testing on that too. But other than that, yeah, it's well on its way. I did forget to add in some at least block work for some turrets that I wanted to stick in the bottom corner over here and potentially in this location as well for some underside turrets. Now it does have a couple underside turrets over here. Another debate too was whether I carve out the front here a little bit and maybe set it up for some future mining drills or something like that. I think because of using the large thrusters that it's got, it should be maneuverable enough to be a miner. It's a little on the big side, but I think it could pull off the job and work out decent as a miner. So, okay, so the next thing is the Kriel Space Station, and I've been also working on this. Now this one's kind of a mixed bag. I started texturing it a little bit, and if you're all freaking out thinking it's going to be Kriel Elder, don't worry about it. It's going to be both. It's right now I have it skinned with the Kriel Elder on the texturing that I did do on here. And I didn't play too much with the different kinds of blocks and their materials that you can do stuff with yet. I do plan on getting to that. Now, here, let me bring up the HUD a minute. As in the color set, basically I built in the two. So we have our Kriel Elder, and then we have a traditional Kriel. So we'll apply this. So now you can see it, normal Kriel look. So it'll be released in the normal Kriel, but we'll have that Elder option for it. Now I would love it if the game would just remember these color palettes when you release something, but I don't believe it does. So I think it just forgets whatever you have going on here when you do release the blueprint. But when I'm editing it here, I can go back and forth between the two. Now the Elder color set does use a couple colors that the original Kriel doesn't. And it's a slightly more advanced because of that. A couple more tones, and that was basically done on the Bahamut. And one of these colors here was like this, one of these grays that kind of adds in a little bit of redness to it, but you can't really tell. But it was kind of a blend thing that the regular Kriel didn't have in the aesthetics. And I kind of like that increased color range. So I'm primarily texturing it with the Bahamut color set stock, but I'm also doing a lot of tests to make sure that it instantly translates back to normal Kriel without any problems. And that's kind of why I got both built in right now. Now, areas that have been changed and modified on this, and some other areas I haven't shown you in pack yet. I did rebuild these front landing pads again, going with this mandible design, kind of like an army ant. This is what I came up with so far. I don't know. You know, I get second opinions would be great on this. I'm trying to measure this on how this would look aesthetically with the tentacle arm things coming out the front of it as well. And I had to like I didn't build this arm out yet, just kind of like a general shape on the direction I want it to go here. But I'm thinking if I ran with these mandibles, that what I might want to do is add in another set of arms that kind of come out below here, um, like that. And I had a little bit of fun with the bottom side of these landing pads too. If you can kind of take a look at the blocks here, it's actually a pretty simple design, but it cuts it up a lot, and it makes this kind of these lines in here when it doesn't use any more material than it would normally be to build a landing pad. So just having some fun there. Another section that I worked on some, here I got my light, pretty dark. The lighting here just sucks. Sorry about that. I'll try to do the next thing on a planet somewhere with the right lighting for Kriel. But yeah, I kind of built out more blocks here, just a lot of curvy, twisty stuff. I'm experimenting with some Xeno material in certain areas here, trying to make it look all bleh. That's how I explain that look. But here's the thing, with the Bahamut color set, this works right because of the color. Like if these need to be textured in the Kriel texture light colors, and there's like a little bit dimmer, or I'm not sure which one's what, but they're both texture lights. So spraying these with these colors here, they come out kind of that orange look, even though I'm painting them with purple. And they don't care what color I paint them with. If I paint them with like a dark purple, they turn green. Green looks a little better with this, I think, but they should be textured in these. Now, when I go to the Bahamut color set here, that color looks appropriate with the Bahamut color set. But I cannot paint them the right color in the normal Kriel texture color set. I'm not sure about my little thingy in the middle here either, if I'm going to keep that or change this. It was just kind of, I'm experimenting. I'm doing a lot of experiments in here. These weird looking structures here will probably end up holding the turret. Other aesthetics I was thinking about too is to dangle some dangly things off this area, and maybe some little dangly things off this abdomen area in the back. And this is going to really make for an interesting interior layout too, which I'm kind of excited about that, believe it or not. Like all this takes place below the hangar floor, and it's almost like a little Minecraft mountain here, a little hill in Minecraft that I got to work around. But it's kind of neat because it's actually kind of like, I don't know, it could be translated to almost a cave-like structure. And I was thinking about, at least for the POI version of this, to actually have this some kind of like I don't know, hatchery or something like that, where it's all weird and like it's hatching baby Kriel down in here and it's all cavey weird. That's an idea. I'll try to pull that idea off. Again, you can think up stuff, but you got to translate it to blocks and make it work. So it's just a loose idea right now. So the next part here, and this was more of a technical thing, is I wanted to come up with a way to make module bays on here, but not in the traditional sense of parking into like a big rectangle structure. So the idea here is, well, first I tried to do something with, because I got to bring so many pieces of the hull together and make it work, because I got this flare out here, and this is kind of coming in this way, and this is coming out this way, and it's really weird. There's a lot of stuff to figure out on how to make that work. And then I was trying to figure out, well, the module bays are pretty big, and how am I going to fit like this big rectangle, which looks hideous, to the outside of it to make these module bays work. So the idea was to build these like alien sucker looking things that are all spec'd out to hold modules, like the module landing gear dock right over here. The door lines up. These things over here, when you push up, make sure your vertical position is correct so you can walk out the front door of the module and into the creation. Stuff like that. So I worked out this first, and then I did a lot of testing with that and I actually used the Plutus M2 to test modules. And I think this will be my standard as a module test, because this one has this little hump on the back of it that most of the modules do not have, and that was a when I did the supremacy, I didn't accommodate for that. I was testing the supremacy with a standard P module. It didn't have this, and turns out the supremacy has a block roll problem here because of how it fits underneath the hull. So if you're going to build something to support modules, this might be a better one to use. Now in this case, because I'm only building these arms out so far, it's not a problem no matter what module it is. And the only objective of these arms here, besides I wanted them to look funky, is just to keep when you park in, you pull up to the front wall and then you push up and then it locks your vertical position in. So when you walk into one of these bays, that you have a perfect transition going from one structure to the other structure through the entry point. And if you didn't have these top things up here, it's very, very difficult to properly line that up. Being able to push against the top row holds it in that position and makes the door line up pretty good. So this is actually a pretty easy thing to dock. So the idea of these things is now that I can move these around. So basically I can build this out, plan out like some kind of like arm that comes out from however the block work comes out in these areas that attaches to these, and these can be moved anywhere. So that's what I came up with so far for module support. And then I was kind of like looking at from different angles, like how would that look, from the top side looking down. And I right now have them centered to these back landing pads, just to try to keep that a little bit, I don't know, just try to keep it all kind of lined up as best I can. But obviously I got a lot of work to do on this yet. This is a really crazy trial and error concept creation for sure. But it's definitely a fun project for as well. Other things of added stringy things and stuff I was thinking about on here, and it was suggested in comments as well, is maybe dangle some thingies that come off like the bottom of this too. And I kind of like that idea. It kind of reminds me of like some units in StarCraft. They got some dangly like the Zerg stuff and whatnot. So I'm thinking about that, maybe some dangly things here, and then I was thinking about some dangly things coming off like this abdomen area back over here as well. One other thing is I thought about maybe trying to extend the distance out a little bit on the back side. Maybe not modify what's here, but add something to it. I don't know. It's a very loose idea right now. Because basically what happened when it was a little bit lower profile before it had all this stuff down here, it looked a little thinner, and I kind of like that thinner look. And then when I started adding all this stuff back here, it got thicker. But I really like the block work back over here. So I want to keep what's there, but I'm looking at that side profile and it makes it look pudgier for sure. And if I were to extend this out somehow, going this way a little bit more, it would smooth that out, make it look a little less pudgy, a little more sharp. And then here and there too, one of the things with Kriel, and why I like to put in these ridge lines all over the place, especially like abdomen-like shapes, is you get to pick and choose how you want to do texture lights. Right now, this is just another experiment. It's like, hey, if I ran texture, what does it look like if I ran texture lights just on this outer row in that formation, and the same thing going down over here. I might not keep that formation of texture lights, but there's a ton of options because every one of these surfaces you could paint, and if you painted like this one and the one like going down the side here, you could come up with a little different formation, and that is what you're going to see typically in the dark when you look at these Kriel creations, as those texture lights. And I was doing the same thing down over here too with the ridge lines here. And I've changed these texture lights a few times already, like where they really stick out. And then I debate whether or not to use this as more of a subtle, weird-looking alien light approach. Anyway, so a lot of little tweaks and stuff like that on here too. I might move these again, who knows. I moved them like 3 or 4 times already. Like I had them like around the base, and I had them like at an angle, so they kind of went up like that and then down like this. But it's just with those lines that you're kind of creating in by offsetting one block row over another, especially in the use of texture lights. You get a kind of a lot of options on how you want to arrange those, especially if you have more than one line. Then you can kind of set that up to create like different lighting effects and things like that, which was obviously trying to go for on Kriel. It's kind of a thing on Kriel, one of the I don't know, things that they do aesthetically, or all the ones that I've done at least. They typically have some kind of texture light formation going on, but I don't want to be like too bold with it. Like what I try to avoid doing is like if I painted all of these things with the texture lights, I think I went too it's too much. It's like there's too much texture lights. A little too lighty. I want these to be a little more darker and scarier looking. And if I have too much texture lights, it makes them look a little too much like you're looking at a light show spectacle, as opposed to something that's supposed to be eerie and scary. So that is kind of my rational thought behind why I don't like to run too much of these things, but just enough to create the effect, and especially if you could get an unusual pattern, like where this came from. Let me bring in an older Kriel creation real quick, the bigger one, the Overseer. Please tell me I have that yet too. Yes, I do. It's amazing. I think I must have screwed up, but here and there, I lost like some creations that I made, like that they were in my list, and now they're not, and it bugs me. So on this one here, this was kind of experimenting with that. This one I did run more texture lights on. But I started to do that idea with the abdomen section of this ship. Same concept of kind of having like a kind of a bit of a ridge line, and then picking up a spot for texture lights. Now I did a little bit more bold on this one, but there's a particular formation that I really liked on the bottom side here, and that is this right on the sides here, these angled ones. And the right lighting too, I think it looks really neat. You got to look at it from the right angle though. If you look at it from different angles, you could get different effects. Like straight on here, it looks like it's probably a bit too much. But when it really comes into play and kind of looks neat, kind of like some kind of weird rib cage or something like that, is like some of these angles here. And if you get it with the optimal Kriel lighting, which would be planet side, dusk with fog on, I think is the perfect lighting to display a Kriel creation. At least that's the look I always wanted to achieve. So yeah, with all these Kriel creations, doing these ridge lines like this in certain places is kind of a thing, and it's something I'm trying to do with this as well. I just got to figure out those formations of lights. How big do I want them? I guess in the past, I went a little more crazy with the texture lights than what I'm actually doing on the recent creation now. So maybe I'll jump it up a little bit more on this one too. That can look good. I'm trying to avoid this kind of formation here. Not that it's a terribly bad formation. It's just that it doesn't look very organic whatsoever. It looks very, everything's straight and orderly and stuff like that. And this one, I'm really trying to be more organic with its overall shape, even over like what the Overseer was. The Overseer had some elements of that in there, but it was a little bit more straightish. Well, anyway, that's all I've got for today. And again, just a quick recap. Idea right now is to try to jam on this thing, get this done this week, and release this weekend. I can't say when the Kriel Space Station will be out. I guess it'll be out when it's done, and I don't know when that's going to be yet. There's a lot of work to do on this, and some of this is pretty slow going too, because a lot of trial and error. When you're doing trial and error, you learn a lot, but it takes longer. But it's trying to make something very unique from even anything I made before. Some other past Kriel creations, I guess, are kind of similar, but not entirely. This one's just trying to be really different. And it is inspired in this case by units in StarCraft. It really kind of is. Actually, I was playing some StarCraft 2 with a buddy recently too, and it's kind of blast from the past. I never played much StarCraft 2 in the past. I played a lot of the original StarCraft Brood Wars, or the expansion for the original StarCraft. That was a thing that we played a lot back in the day, LAN parties and all kinds of stuff. Sometimes we'd go head to head against, a couple of us against a couple other people, but most of the time we'd be like a bunch of us against uh, ever increasingly difficult computers on psycho maps. So that's kind of what we're doing now. Good times. Anyway, I will talk to you all later, and please let me know if you have any questions or anything you could think of again to add on to this. And I am listening to the comments. Like the mandible idea was based on a comment. The docking modules and stuff like that. That's also based on that. It's kind of nice because there's so many modules made by so many different people that do so many different functions. Not having those available in a nice orderly format for a space station seems kind of like you're wasting potential, on what it could do. And that is really why I wanted to try to get some in. However, I mean, obviously, if I try to put in too many module bays, unless you guys can think of a way to display that and have this look appropriate, I don't know really how to pull off more than two on here aesthetically. The way this is set up, that you can make these like little hallway arms attach in various places on the creation, and you could copy and paste these things once they're textured to more positions and have more module bays. But at the end of the day, is what is it going to look like if that were done? And like ideas of like taking one of these module bays and turning it off like sideways off the here, yeah, sure, it would function as a module bay, but I don't think it would look very good. And that's important too on this one. It's Kriel is largely based on their looks. Of course, I've tried to get function in there too, but they are exotic and kind of an escape from building the normal spaceships that I'm really typically care very much about, its function and cost and everything like that, where Kriel is like, hey, Kriel is a weird form of alien art. And function is the, secondary to aesthetics in Kriel. Where most of the other factions, function is usually the primary concern, and aesthetics is the secondary. But then again, you just like this whole formation here, this is a huge waste of blocks. All this weird crazy stuff going on here is a huge waste of blocks. A rectangle would be far more efficient in this shape, but it's a rectangle. Anyway, I will shut up, and you guys have a good day. I'll probably be back tomorrow or Wednesday with an update video, and I might actually do like a bit of a build video again on the inside of that ship there. I wanted to get the storage in place first and then go from there. I think with the past videos, I would put in like the storage, and then I'd usually do the rest of it off screen, so you never actually seen like building up the room and trying to make it look pretty. So I'm going to try to do that on my next video. All right. Well, anyway, you all have yourself a good day. I'll talk to you later.